What if I told you that there was a pill that could make just about anyone like you? A pill that could help you make friendships more easily. Wouldn't you want to take it? Well, unfortunately, there isn't such a pill discovered. At least not yet. But in the meantime, I can tell you a few methods that have similar results. I learned it all through reading a book, which you may have heard of. It is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It is one of the top best-selling books around the world. And after reading it, I've understood why. By following some of the advice in the book, I managed to improve my interpersonal relationships with others. And I'd like to share some of the things I learned with you. First and foremost, remember that regardless of what language someone speaks, the sweetest sound to a person is their own name. Always try to remember someone's name when you first meet them, and make an effort to use it the next time you see them. Pay close attention to the pronunciation of their name as well. So why exactly are names so important? Numerous studies have shown that hearing the sound of our own name activates certain areas in our brain. It is so powerful that it even activates the brains of patients in a vegetative state. To not forget someone's name or basic information about them is to write it down as soon as you can. To make things easier, you can also write down some information about their appearance next to their name. Also, you can associate their name with a mental image. Another great way is to repeat their name right after being introduced to them. If, however, you do forget their name, you can ask them what their name was. And after they reply, you can simply say, "Oh no, I meant your last name," or just ask them how their name spelled. Another point Carnegie talks about is how to be a good listener. People are almost always more interested in themselves and their lives than they're about yours. So, the best way to get someone to like you is to genuinely be interested in their lives. Ask sincere questions about their hobbies, their opinions, and their thoughts. Don't interrupt or disagree with them. Although this may not seem like a good advice in every single situation, it is great if you want people to like you. Just make sure to show that you're actively listening by nodding or saying things such as, "Aha, exactly, right." Researchers from the Harvard University Social Cognitive and Neuroscience Lab have found out that when people answered questions about themselves, the areas in their brains associated with motivation and reward got activated. Other research has found similar findings. People tend to like you more when they self-disclose. Or in other words, when they talk to you about themselves. It may sound counterintuitive to some. Most of us would assume that others would like us more after we shared information about ourselves. But you have to remember that people are almost always more interested in themselves and their lives than they're about yours. And finally, smile. Research shows that smiling faces are perceived to be much more attractive and approachable than neutral faces. And knowing that, most people decide whether or not they like you within the first 7 seconds of meeting you. Being aware of your facial expressions is key. Smiling is not only one of the simplest ways to get people to trust you, but also influences your own brain as well as others. Studies indicate that when you see a smiling face, the mirror neurons in your brain get fired up, so you also experience what the other person is feeling. Thus, smiling can be a great way to put the other person at ease and allow you to seem much more personable. It is important to note, however, that this only applies to genuine smiles. For those who can't manage a real smile, a slight upturn of the mouth can suffice too. In conclusion, to make others like you more, keep these 3 tips in mind. Number 1, remember their name and some basic information about them, and be sure to refer to them by their name the next time you see them. Tip number 2, listen, and then listen some more. Encourage people to talk about themselves, and genuinely be interested in what they have to say. And last but not least, smile. Thank you.